Today's episode is brought to you by Airways. Airways is a brand new magazine about Ireland, its culture, and its people at home and around the world. Edited by Kieran O'Hare, Airways is a print-only publication that seeks to broaden perspectives on Ireland and the Irish diaspora. The first issue of Airways is available now. It features the breathtaking work of Irish-American painter Michael Madigan and a profile of the 86-year working life of Sligo-born Chicagoan Kevin Henry. Letterpress printer and artist Mary Plunkett shares her words, and images, and Irish traditional music archive founder Nicholas Carolan explores his world of Irish music and song. Airways presents new work by acclaimed poet Terence Winch, Dublin short story writer Kevin Curran, an essay about travel and writing from acclaimed novelist Rob Doyle, and much more. Airways is printed on uncoated paper featuring beautiful typography, gorgeous photography, and a stunning design inspired by the newest wave of independent magazine publishing around the world. You can visit www.airways.com to subscribe. Thank you to Airways for supporting this episode of Thoughts, Comments, Opinions. We'll be right back. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody, depending what time you're listening to this. Welcome to Thoughts, Comments, Opinions. Today's guest we have on financial consultant Ron Escoffery. Ron travels across the United States discussing how to build a financial plan for you and your family and attaining your goals. Please listen until the end because we have some news about the guest coming up next week. We have a pretty wide-ranging panel. Oh, and also a thank you to our sponsor, Airways, for sponsoring today's show. If you'd like to sponsor Thoughts, Comments, Opinions, please contact us. We'd love to hear from you. And as well, if you'd like to be part of our studio audience, feel free to drop by the house anytime. All right, so sit back, relax, fire up a podtini, and listen to the words as they fly through the air. Ron Escoffery from Atlanta. Hi, Ron. How are you?
I'm good, Hubert. Yourself?
I'm doing fabulously. It's not raining, which is a rare thing in Ireland.
Good for you. We could use some rain here in Atlanta. We have excessive heat continuously, so we're looking forward to the day when we can go out and run and play in the rain.
Sounds good. Well, we'll ship you some forthwith. Now, you're here to talk about wealth accumulation, wealth management. Describe to me what it is that you do.
What I do, Hubert, is I teach individuals how to make good financial decisions. I provide them with financial education so that each individual, given their particular circumstances, will make decisions that will lead them to consistent cash flow and eventually to building a comfortable wealth to retire and enjoy when that time comes. I do that in seminars, webinars, and speeches and white papers, and I've written a book on the subject. So I do it in a number of ways. As you can appreciate, as different people are in different age and stage of their lives, so it's difficult to have, or maybe impractical rather, to have one formula that fits everyone. The challenge that the internet brings today to the average Joe is that there's a lot of information on about any subject, and especially one to do with money and wealth. The challenge is most people try to use one size fits all, and secondly, want something that acts as a silver bullet that will solve the problem immediately. It does not exist. There are really no secrets to building wealth.
True
Everyone
enough.
says there's a secret. There isn't any. There tried and true proven method of building wealth. In a simple sentence, I could say, spend less than you earn.
Yeah, true. Because I imagine that most people, and I worked in the industry for 8 years or so, is and the most common thing was that you know you you would talk to them about building a personal financial plan, and they would say, "Well, the problem is I have no money." To which one would respond, "Would you like some?" you know.
And that has not changed, Hubert. Most people say, I have no money. But when I hear that, I tell this story to the person that is saying that to me. Uh, if Let's assume that you work for a company. It's a small company. There's just about 10 of you there, and business isn't going so well. But this is your job. This is your livelihood. This is what you and your family depend on. And your boss calls everybody, the 10 of you, and then says, business has not been good. You know it, you've seen it.
Sure.
I have a decision to make. That decision is I have to reduce my payroll expenses by 10%. I can do it one of two ways. I can let one of you go, or I can reduce everybody's salary and everybody still works. Everybody still gets a paycheck. Which one would you take? I would assume, and I would guess, I might even bet, that most people would take that 10% reduction. And the funny thing is, within 90 days, they would not even miss it.
Yeah, because you learn to adjust by all means. What are some common mistakes that people make when they try and do it on their own?
They, the first mistake, they think they know everything about money. And it's not people without money, it's also people that have a high income. If high income does not equal wealth, low income does not necessarily equal poverty. So they make the mistake of saying, okay, I know this all, I can do this, I'm going to do it on my own. The lack of discipline, though, always defeats them because they have not developed a roadmap or a plan to which the goal is to become financially successful, financially secure. They make the mistake that, oh, I'll just, go at it a day at a time, and I'll do some things, save some money when I feel like, and don't when I don't, and it doesn't work like that. There's a discipline that is required. There's a plan that is required. There's a goal that is required, and each person's, as I said, age and stage will determine what your plan looks like, what your risk tolerance look like, what is your end goal. Your end goal might be different from mine, but there's some basic principles that we have to do. We have to take control of our finances. And you can't take control of something if you don't know where you are. So the first thing is, where am I?
Mm-hmm.
Where am I? And the traditional way of finding that out is just doing your personal net worth statement. We do it for the bank and we put it away. Let's do it for ourselves and say, okay, this is where I am today. This is where I want to go tomorrow. And without even increasing your income with a plan, you can make significant progress. But it's not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time. And that's the challenge. People tend to wait until they're in their 40s, and then they want to pay catch up. They want a magic bullet. It doesn't work like that. And you have to start early. The beauty of compounding interest is wonderful. It works, it works, it works. And the mistake is not having someone to hold your hand, not having someone who's been there. Unfortunately, Hubert, I know this may go contrary to a lot of people's belief. Handing your savings over to a quote unquote investment professional is not a guarantee of building wealth, at least not for the client. So I say people look at that. They make their money regardless of what your investment does. Whether it rises or falls, they will pay. So you have to educate yourself. You must become familiar. I'm not talking about becoming a finance expert or having a degree in finance. I'm talking about understanding how money works and what it takes to accumulate wealth one paycheck at a time.
You're quite right, because one of the first things a potential client needs to know is, and talking across from the advisor or consultant or whatever the name on the business card says is, but that first question, or one of the first questions really should be, how do you make your money? Because if you're dealing with someone like a broker who makes his money off transactions, churning may be technically illegal, but when the paycheck's a little low that month, you may have the broker on the phone say that, I think we really ought to trade a few stocks around. It's an important thing for clients to know that.
Yes. I think it's critical that they know that. Unfortunately, they do not, because of the lack of financial education, they do not know the right questions to ask the broker. And that's why I'm saying that educate yourself first. Educate yourself. I'm not saying never use a broker. I'm saying don't just turn your life savings or whatever you have to someone else whose goals and objectives might not be the same as yours.
The late Gore Vidal had a wonderful line. He said that we spend our entire lives worrying about our bodies and our money, and our schools teach us nothing about either one.
That is correct. Because, Hubert, I have an MBA in finance from a very fine institution here in the United States. But what I was taught in business school was about corporate finance, about trading, about the random walk down Wall Street, portfolio efficiency. I really wasn't taught how to build wealth, and it's two different things. I learned how to build wealth long after I left graduate school and forgot most of what I learned there. Building wealth requires a strategy, making good decisions, and being right most of the time. You don't have to be right all the time.
Because nobody is right all the time. Yep.
No. Yes. So you have to sit down and say, okay, I want to be comfortable when I am 55, 65, or 75. I have to now set out and how to make that a reality. And spending less than you earn is kind of a first step. Most people spend up to their earning. If you get a raise, you spend more. You spend that raise. Most of us won't save that raise. The simplest and easiest way that I tell my clients to start their savings and their investment is to do what they do at church. You are asked to tithe off the top.
Yep.
I'm asking you to pay yourself first.
Yes.
if you pay yourself first, your other expenses will adjust and you won't even miss that. And if you do that consistently, you have to be consistent, you're going to find that before long, your nest egg is growing. And continuously try to stay abreast of developments in the financial arena, because that is going to be very important in whatever decisions you make as it relates to growing your money.
I hardly agree. You know, it reminds me of a story that a friend of mine told, and he had a gym back in my old hometown in Canada, a health club, right? You know, so
Right.
we were having a beer, and I said, so how's business? Oh, great. I said, any problems? Yeah, I said, getting people to come to the gym, that they would walk in, they buy the annual membership, so he has his money. They're going to get fit on that day. They're going to get fit, then they never come back. They never do the exercises, right?
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's the same in personal finances. They want the goal, but they don't go to the gym.
They don't go to the gym. And here is, following along that same line, Hubert, here's the problem. It's everyone says, make a budget, do a budget, start with a budget. And I said to my clients, don't. That I'm contrary in that sense. I said, don't. And they said, well, why shouldn't everyone says I should make a budget? And I said, and everyone who has done it find themselves after about 3 months off the budget. And it's
Yes,
like,
you do.
yeah, and it's like going on the January 1st, everyone, or almost everyone, say, I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to the gym, as you say. And yes, some of them even sign up.
Yep.
I wait, but by April, by Easter, everything is gone by the side. Because, Hubert, it is not natural and it's not fun. And people tend not to do things that is not natural and is not fun. So you have to make it become a natural part of your activity, and not, I'm doing this because someone tells me to. I really am not enjoying this, because they're not even seeing the big picture down the road. Like,
Oh,
oh,
not at all.
I might want to take a vacation one day. Oh, you know, one day I might want to stop working. I have to do this. But we go and we do the budget, and we go on a starvation budget, and we fall off the tracks before long. And then you do nothing because you say, oh, the experts say I should do a budget. It doesn't work. The expert tell me I should not incur any debt because debt is bad. Not all debts are bad.
Ah, true.
Not all debts. Yes, if you run your credit cards up and consumer credit cards and store credits and all the available credit there that exists, yes, that's not so good.
Because you're paying now for stuff that you bought a year, 5 years, 10 years ago, right?
Exactly. You are paying for a meal at a fine restaurant, 3, 4 years after you've had the meal.
Yep.
I am not saying that to build wealth and to become financially secure means that you have no fun or you stay on a starvation diet. My philosophy is that you can do a little bit of both. Because if you have no fun, you're going to be frustrated. You will lose your motivation and your determination. So it has to be, okay, how can I do this where I don't feel like I'm doing it under duress? I feel like it's no fun. I don't know how long I can keep up with this. And make it a way that they want to do it. They want to save. They want to. I believe that just saying someone should save is not going far enough. My clients, I say, pick something you want to save for this year.
Right.
Pick a goal. Pick a trip you might want to do. That trip might be 1,000, 2,000, whatever. Let's save for that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's save for emergencies. Give them
Ah,
not.
that is a hugely important point. You know, there's a wonderful phrase here in Ireland that the only man who knows what's in front of him is the one pushing a wheelbarrow. And it, you know, and people, you know, that even though you and I both know that 1 out of 3 30-year-olds are going to be disabled and off work for a minimum of 3 months by the time they're 60. Everybody thinks they're in that 2/3 that won't happen.
Exactly. Exactly.
How much does insurance, disability insurance, long-term care insurance, how much does that build into your discussion with people who come to
I,
your
I,
seminars and such?
it's huge. It's huge because in our economy, right now we have good jobs number. Last couple of years, it wasn't so.
Yep.
And find that people could not last 90 days after, without a job before they were worried that they're going to be losing their homes, they're going to be turned out of their apartment, they have their cars repossessed because they had no emergency savings. The other point is long-term care is tremendously important.
Yep.
Because we are living longer, but we're not always living longer healthier. So we need more care from skilled nursing centers, from physicians, from all kinds of, which at that stage of your life, you're not earning. So if you did not make the preparation for someone or some institution or someone to be there to take care of your needs when you become ill or disabled in your older days, you're going to have a hard way to go. You have to depend on family and friends or the government, and while
Yeah.
those are options, they're not very good options because today more and more people are taking care of their elder parents. The social security system in our country, it's good today. We don't know where it will be in the future because of all kinds of economic situation that's going on with our money and our deficit and so forth. But you have to realize, Herbert, that there's a fundamental shift in the economy. I don't know about where you are, but here is that previously, maybe your parents, my parents, maybe your grandparents, you work for one company until you retire.
Yes.
That company takes care of you until you expire.
Cradle to grave. Yes, indeed.
It doesn't happen like that anymore.
No.
It doesn't. And the average individual is going to change job at least 5, if not 7 times in their lifetime. What has changed and changed subtly is that the employees, the individual, the consumers, were now asked to take care of their money problems, to manage their finances, to manage their retirement, to manage all of your money, because the companies aren't doing that anymore for them, but they never educate them how to do it. There was no education in the transition from where your company take care of you to where you now take care of you. As a result, people put their money just anywhere where if your brother's putting it here, I'll put it there. If your neighbor tell you put it there. And they're making those decisions without a bit of financial education. The only time they realize that is when it's too late. But so there was not a good job of saying, well, we're going to transfer your finances to you. Start becoming educated on what and how to do this. It just happened. Everyone will tell you, I have a 401k or I have an IRA. What's in it? Very few people know.
True. True enough. True enough. Um, I'll set this up slightly. When I worked in the industry, the top man in our company in Canada said that I don't manage money, I manage risk. How do you explain risk to clients?
Well, I start with a simple definition that risk is your ability to have a, a protection of your capital, which or your money, um, the protection of your money versus the ability to grow that money and lose some of all of that money. You have different risk tolerance from someone else, your neighbors. The risk is this investment, is it guaranteed? It's not so much if the return is guaranteed, but is my principal safe? And I'm saying, when you take on investment decision, you can risk all your money, some of your money, or none of your money. So let's look at it. How comfortable you are.
Right.
Would you go to Vegas and play the slot? Would you buy the lotto? Or will you educate yourself on, okay, what are the probability that I will lose my capital, I'll gain some return on it, I'll gain a lot of return, and there's a relationship. If you are looking for high return, chances are the risk is going to be greater. And what I mean by that, the chances of you losing some of your or all of your money is greater, because greater return usually has an accompanying greater risk. So I say, let's look at it. I don't think you can actually grow your wealth without some level of risk. Meaning, guarantee returns are not risky, but they won't grow your wealth. But based on where you are, and your tolerance and how do you feel, there can be a vehicle that will give you the protection of your capital, which is the critical thing I like to tell them. Don't lose that. And the return that you want. And it depends on your age and your stage. A younger person tend to be able to withstand more risk than someone much older. So
Sure.
risk is kind of the cost of becoming wealthy or staying where you are.
Well,
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was going to say that you touched on the key thing, the relationship between time and risk. The more time you have to achieve the goal, whether it's buy the house or the amount you need for retirement, the less risk you have to take on. If you delay putting the plan into place, the less time you have, the more risk you're going to have to take on to achieve that goal.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And that's the reason, Hubert, that I say everyone has a cycle, from the day you're born till you expire. And I break it down like this. From birth till you're about 30, you're in your learning years. You're in kindergarten, you're in junior high, you're in high school, you're in college. You're not earning a lot of money. You're probably spending a lot of money. So those 3 years, you don't accumulate much. You accumulate a lot of knowledge, or you're supposed to. From 30 to 60 or 65, which is about 30 years, 35 years, those are your earning years. How you manage those earnings for those 35 years will determine your quality of life for the remaining 30 years, and I'm saying average life is now about 90 or 95, and you know, people are living longer.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to say, oh, I have a window of 30 years, and I have to make some good decision to ensure that my quality of life is what I want it to be when I can't or don't want to work anymore. The challenge we have is most people have not been able to define what financial independence mean to them. It's such an individual thing that you can't look at your neighbor and say, oh, I want to be like that person who drives a big Mercedes or Volvo or whatever car, you know, he drives. And he has a yacht or a boat or whatever. And his lifestyle may be his lifestyle. Another person might just be very comfortable having a small house in the countryside, sitting on the porch, smoking a cigar every now and then, and just looking over the land and just have no stress, no financial stress. And so each person has to decide. When people ask me about, are you wealthy or are you financially secure? My answer is always, I'm comfortable.
Yes. Mm-hmm. I agree
I'm
with you.
comfortable and I have peace of mind.
Yes.
And I think that if we just use a comfortable lifestyle, one that gives us peace of mind, as kind of the measure, I think we would be okay and not say, well, I have to have all these things, or society says I have to have all these things, because things don't make you happy. Things don't give you peace of mind. It's the experiences that you have, and you can't put a dollar figure on those.
I agree with you. Now, one other thing, and it's only because people listening to this, and I could probably make a good wager as to what your answer will be. But people listening to this, because they always want what's new, what's hot, what's sexy. They want to know. So, Ron, what should I put my money into today?
Uh, that's a really good question, Hubert. And before I answer that, I would have to ask you a couple of questions,
Sure.
because it's I don't want you to go ahead and announce this, but I'd want to interview you and say, what's your age and where are you in life?
Oh,
Let me see,
I'm 51.
51. In the last 20 years, have you managed to save any money or a significant amount of money? How are you? How is your nest egg? Where is that?
Non-existent.
Okay. All right. So in the last 30 years, Robert, you might have earned, and let's take an average salary of 50,000 just for easy math.
Sure.
And so if for 20 years you've earned 50,000, you've earned about $1 million, and you have not saved or invested, or you don't have it to show. So it tells me that you have a low saving tolerance and a low risk tolerance. So now, I'd say to you, Herbert, forget what's sexy right now. Forget what the crowd is running to. You need to start saving some emergency money by paying yourself first. You can put that money, do not put them in mutual funds. Put that money in, save it until you can put it in maybe some real estate, some income producing real estate, not leverage real estate, because leverage real estate can also, it's a two-edged sword.
Oh, yeah. That's one of the things that drove Ireland to its knees, and the banking industry went in.
So
in the
yeah,
toilet,
you have
yeah.
to be careful. But I said not mutual funds, but index funds, because index funds have the lowest expense ratio meaning it costs you less to have your funds managed than a regular brokerage account. And because history has shown the index funds tend to be more stable in their growth, they move with the market, they don't have high volatility, and they have outperformed most brokerage houses over the long haul. They're very inexpensive to get in, and even within that fund, in those funds, you can still be selective about what fund you're comfortable with. But that's where I would say start there with your with whatever money you have in with an index fund, and leave all the other exotic things. REITs, yes, REITs are good, but I don't think that's where, if you're just getting started, you should go. I also think you need to have, saving rates are very low now, but I think you still should have some money in fairly liquid. So
Yes.
put some liquidity there. And Hubert, I know real estate is a two-edged sword. I am a real estate investor myself, and I've seen it. The problem with investing in real estate, most people do not have a plan for investing. They follow the leader.
Yes.
Everybody's investing in this particular asset class. That's where they're going. Everyone is flipping houses. Everyone is, rehabbing houses. I've been investing since 1980 in real estate, Hubert. I don't follow the everybody else. I look and study the trend. Real estate, like most everything, has a cycle to it.
Oh, yes, it does.
And if you get in at the wrong time, you're going to be burned.
Yep.
But the plan is, if you go in with a plan, you can be very, very safe and make good money and build wealth for the long term. Here in America, I think real estate properly done, and let me reemphasize this, properly done is one of the best way to accumulate wealth. And I mean, my strategy is I buy real estate and I hold it. I just hold it. I don't flip and buy for appreciation. I buy with solid financials. I run the number, I analyze it, and I say, okay, tax breaks now, small appreciation over the years, tenants paying down my mortgage. It works. It's when you get exotic and do a lot of other things, it could hurt you. So if you have some money, yes, make sure you have some put away for your 9 months at least emergency. Depends on your lifestyle. You will know how much that is. The rest, put it away and start putting in a low risk investment. You will hear people say annuities is where you should be going. There are very few good ones, so you have to be really, really sharp, really smart, really understand the risk, because the risks are usually in the very fine prints, and you don't know what risk you're taking until it's time to collect.
That is great advice, Ron. Now, how do people find out where you're going to be speaking next? How do the name of your book, etc. So it's time for advertisements for yourself. How do people get in touch with you?
My website, it's www.ronescoffery.com, and my events calendar will be on that. My book is on it. The name of my book is Money for Retirement, 5 Easy Steps to Financial Security, and that is online at Amazon, and you can also buy it off the site. those are the two places that I'm easiest to find, and it's easy to look and see and read about my experiences and how I've worked with individuals in different fields, not just individuals in any particular field. I've worked with real estate agents, I've worked with doctors, I've worked with consultants, I've worked with wage earners. I work with a cross section of people who have the problem or the desire to solve their financial problems and to enjoy life and to remove the stress that money can bring if it's not handled properly.
Fantastic. Ron Escoffery, thank you so much for doing thoughts, comments, and opinions. Take care.
Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day, sir.
Bye-bye. I'd like to thank once again our guest, Ron Escoffery, for being on this episode of Thoughts, Comments, Opinions. Now then, I promised you news on who's coming up next week. We have 4 guests scheduled, and I'm hoping for a 5th. Who we have? We're going to be talking to the writer of darkly beautiful literature, Oral Foyle, on Monday. Also, coming up, I'll be taping this on Monday, it'll probably be up on Tuesday, is Kieran O'Hare, who has started a new magazine about Irish culture. Then on Tuesday, I am taping one of my favorite people in the world, the incredible Vicki Abelson, the founder of Women Who Write, the best book salon there is in North America, possibly the world, about her new novel, Don't Jump. Then on Wednesday, Professor Fadi Dawood, we're going to get serious, and we're going to be talking about the origins of ISIS. What really is the story behind that? We'll get into Middle East politics, Iraq, and so forth. If there's any guests that you'd like to hear on Thoughts, Comments, Opinions, please let us know. We're here to serve you. And so with all that said, from those of us who work the late shift here in Ireland, good night everybody, and be seeing you.